In 2022, Israel obtained a document known as Jericho Wall, describing Hamas's battle approach for its October 7th attack more than a year before the group carried out their plan. Israeli military and intelligence officials dismissed it, assessing that it would be too difficult for Hamas to carry out. The result for Israel's economy and its future is looking worse as it loses support of the international community because of its disproportionate response to the Palestinian civilians. Let's explore the future of Israel's tech firms and its economy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Israel has nukes, the strongest economy, the strongest military, the best technology, and American support. Saudi Arabia has the largest oil reserves and is a high-efficiency oil producer, making it the de facto price setter for the global oil markets. Iran has the fourth largest oil reserves and a web of proxies in Mana. They also have the capability to shut down the Gulf shipping lanes if they wanted to. Turkey is in NATO and controls the Straits of Bosphorus and Dardanelles, making it uniquely placed to help counter Russia. A lot of Israeli influence is behind the scenes, so it's not as apparent as the other countries, but they definitely are the strongest mana power. Israel has the moral support of the West, but only for now. The younger generations do not support Israel as much as the people currently in power, combined with Israel becoming much more right-wing, combined with more Muslim immigration including possible climate refugees. It seems inevitable that Israel will eventually become politically isolated from the West unless they make major concessions to Palestinians. The sector of the Israeli economy that has suffered the most amid this war is tourism, which accounted for 2.6% of GDP before the pandemic in 2019, before falling to 1.1% in 2021. Both foreign and domestic tourism in Israel have flatlined since the start of the war. Across Israel, restaurants and stores remain empty. Soon after Hamas's incursion into southern Israel and the eruption of the war on Gaza, a long list of airlines canceled or suspended the majority of their flights to Tel Aviv, and many tourists canceled their plans to visit Israel. Prior to Operation Al-Aqsa flood, visitors to Israel numbered above 300,000 each month. In November, that figure reportedly sank to 39,000. The construction industry has taken a huge hit from the war. Construction, accounting for 14% of Israel's GDP, has taken a huge hit since this war began. Across Israel, construction projects have been paused since October, and Israel indefinitely froze worker permits for Palestinians, who make up 65 to 70% of the workforce in Israel's construction sector. Consequently, industry in Israel and the West Bank's economy have taken a huge hit. Of the 110,000 Palestinians who had permits to work either in Israel proper or in illegal settlements in the West Bank or East Jerusalem, most were working in construction. The gap has not been filled by Israeli workers, given how the reservists have been called to fight in the war, nor by foreign workers who have in large numbers fled Israel amid this conflict. In November, the Israel Builders Association said that Israel's construction industry was operating at roughly 15% of its pre-October 7 capacity. A month later, 8,000 to 10,000 Palestinian workers were permitted to resume work on Israeli settlements in the West Bank. A decision the government made after it came under significant pressure from business and factory owners hit hard by supply shocks. But that's far from sufficient, and to fill the gap, Israel plans to bring in approximately 70,000 construction workers from China, India, Moldova, and Sri Lanka. The Israeli economy's dependence on the tech sector has significantly grown in the past decade. The industry contributes 18% to local GDP versus less than 10% in the US and about 6% in the European Union. About 14% of all employees work in the tech sector and in tech jobs in other sectors. The Israeli economy relies on tech products and exports, which make up about 50% of total exports, as well as on tech taxes. Israel's tech industry also felt the impact of the ongoing war, the number of exits, mergers and acquisitions, or initial public offerings of shares. This year plunged to the lowest level in a decade. The value of Israeli tech exits, including IPOs, slumped 56% to $7.5 billion from $16.9 billion a year earlier. At the same time, 2022 was already a tough year for Israel's tech industry as the uncertain specter of rising interest rates, A global stock market fall and tech layoffs led to a sharp slowdown in investments. As 2023 began, local political uncertainty around the contentious judicial overhaul pushed foreign investors into a wait-and-see position about deal-making. Tech firms saw exits jump by a staggering 520% in 2021 to $82 billion in value, shattering all previous funding records. Now, with Israel about almost 2 months into a war with Hamas, many local startups are struggling to attract essential funding, in particular from foreign investors, while major deals will likely not happen. Thousands of tech workers and startup founders have been drafted to the army, with more than 350,000 reservists called up to serve. During the long wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, U.S. leaders familiarized Americans with the concept of blood and treasure. Israel is spending treasure deploying an average of more than 220,000 reservists into battle over the past 3 months and subsidizing their salaries. Many of these reservists are high-tech workers in cyber, agriculture, finance, navigation, artificial intelligence, pharmaceuticals, and climate solutions. Israel's tech sector relies on foreign investment. But that was diminishing even before the war, in part out of concern for the instability that investors believed the right-wing government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had brought to Israel. Intel's recent announcement that it is going ahead with a $25 billion chip factory in southern Israel, the largest investment in the country ever by a company. Not only does Israel need to pay for the reservists, the bombs and the bullets, but it is also supporting 200,000 evacuees who have been displaced from Israeli villages along the Gaza border, in the northern border with Lebanon, which Hezbollah is bombarding daily. Many of these evacuees are being housed and fed in hotels in the north and south at government expense. Regarding investment activities and financial markets, the war has remarkably affected them, which increased economic uncertainty in financial markets. The raised financial risk environment has led to a decline in both local and foreign investments, with funds flowing out of the country. This has caused significant fluctuations in the stock market, resulting in a loss exceeding $62 billion for the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange in the first few weeks. Banks also experienced substantial losses, with a 31% decrease in their share value. Israeli investments in American financial portfolios suffered a loss of more than 12%, while Israeli-linked international stocks of $43 billion faced significant losses of 14% in global markets. Bondholders are now demanding redemption of their bonds, selling them at a loss. Furthermore, over 100 Israeli companies listed in the American Stock Exchange had lost more than 15% of their value, as per Israel Statistics Bureau. The labor force and human capital have also been significantly touched, with a considerable number seeking more stable and secure environments outside Israel. This migration has resulted in a negative impact on the job market, losing more than 32% of the skilled and qualified workers, and resulted in 760,000 employees declared unable to work. The suspension of around 230,000 Palestinians' labor in Israel has stopped factories, construction projects, and developmental initiatives. Additionally, the call-up of reserve soldiers for general mobilization poses a painful choice for the Israeli economy, because a wide range of skilled professionals, including experts and factory workers, have been withdrawn from the market to join military operations. This has disrupted economic activities, reduced labor supply, and contributed to a recessionary inflationary environment characterized by increased inflation rates and decreased economic growth. The Israeli economy has experienced a decline of 63% of foreign investments and 80% drop in international trade, affecting the flow of commerce and supply chains. Politically, we hope that these events serve as a genuine substance for repositioning the Palestinian conflict, bringing it to the negotiation table in search of a political solution rather than a military one.